Welcome back to Pagitt Radio. 10 minutes before 1 here on this Sunday afternoon. We end the first hour with a little conversation that we call Cripes. Come on, you got to be kidding me. Where we cry out to the world that some things are not the way they're supposed to be, so that we join in the solidarity of saying, let's change that world. Let's not leave it that way. It is our deep yearning. It is our deep call. It is our responsibility to say with our words that which we want to be true in our hearts. We call it Cripes, and it come on, and you got to be kidding me. And this is meant to inspire us to say, let's change the world. And then we end the second hour with a right on, because there are some people who have risen above the frustrations in the kind of world that they want. So here we go. The Cripes that come on, that you got to be kidding me. Now, quite often I assign a Cripes to something sort of lighthearted and fun. Mm-hmm. Very often something I've done. I could have this week. Yeah. Actually, off of our theme song, given the Cripes to a fellow who flipped me off this week. It was in the middle of a snowstorm, and I had to turn around to go back to get this parking spot. Everybody's driving 4 miles an hour, and I had to do a little U-turn in the middle of the road. A guy gave me the, I'm number one sign. Unbelievable. Like, really? In the middle of a snowstorm? Yeah. You don't think there's some exceptions taking place right here? It was incredible. So, but he didn't get it. I could have given it to T-Paw, the former governor, who's now become just a raving lunatic. Running around waving a constitution and just become a madman. He's just become a madman. But I didn't, because he just drives me crazy. So he didn't get it either. But here's who gets it this time. Nothing fun and lighthearted like that. Mm-hmm. This comes out of an article.
Serious stuff here.
Serious stuff. Unbelievable. Apparently, county prosecutors from across the Twin Cities area have decided they're no longer going to prosecute teenagers who have been pulled into the sex industry as sex slaves. They're no longer going to prosecute them as criminals.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Isn't that great? Yeah. Here's what John Choi of Ramsey County says. We need to do the right thing as it relates to children who are victims of prostitution and stop arresting them. February of 2011, and it finally dawns on these people to stop prosecuting teenagers for prostitution. Like any teenager chooses it. Yeah. Like there's some just self-defining person that's trying to whip up an off-the-books kind of business. Unbelievable. The fact that they were prosecuting teenagers who are caught up in sex stings and sex industry, that they were prosecuting them, earns the forever Cripes. Yeah. I mean, that is unbelievable. And anywhere in this article or in the news conference, not an apology for, you know what, our policy for the last 50 years has been totally a violation of human dignity. Mm-hmm. Instead, these kids are abused, these kids are recruited, these kids are put into unspeakable circumstances. And then what do the police and what do the prosecutors do? Penalize the kid. Treat the victim as if they've done something wrong. And then they come out and say, hey, we've had a change of heart. We think we shouldn't do that anymore. Aren't we great?
Yeah, we really turned around on this.
Yeah, everybody in the place should have given a big unified Cripes.
Yeah.
They should have given them the triple threat. Cripes, come on, and you got to be kidding me. What have you been doing the whole time?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Maybe I should have this John on the show and have him explain to us how it made sense when you were standing before the judge, when you were writing up a complaint against a 15-year-old that you pulled him in the system, because now what he says is, I believe that we should do everything we can to get them out of the system so they never come back again. Bright idea, fella. Welcome to the age of reasonableness. Yeah. And in the last 10 years, Dakota County has prosecuted 13 adult offenders who were involved in forcing children into prostitution. 13 in 10 years. Way to go, boys. Yeah. Nice work.
You're really on that.
Like, you've been arresting kids and putting them into juvenile detention centers and ruining their lives when the people who are supposed to be protecting them now treat them as if they're the perpetrator. Yeah. And how many adults have you prosecuted, Ramsey County? 10.
A little more than one a year.
Well, yeah, a couple of years you had 2.
Yeah.
Way to go. Nice work. Unbelievable. And then to have a press conference and not start out with, we are deeply sorry for the way we have behaved. Yeah. Because it has been just functional malfeasance. Cripes. And to every time that we interact with an organization, institution that acts like that, they get the Cripes that comes in. All right, come on. The Archdiocese of Minnesota. I'm not hard on Catholics very often. Mm-hmm. It's been a tough run for Catholic folks. I know. I understand that. I'm not a Catholic, so I tend not to pick on other religious people that aren't my own tribe. I don't want to sit in the seat of mockers. That doesn't do anyone any good.
You want to dog pile on.
No, to be throwing stones at people, unless this comes up in the news that in Bloomington, a church had a lay person give the sermon. And the diocese said, no. They don't get to give the sermon. Only after communion can a layperson give the sermon, not before.
Well, it was a lay person of what gender?
Well, it was a woman.
Yeah.
You think that's a bigger deal than the fact that it was a non-clergy?
I think that is the deal.
The woman is a graduate from seminary and everything, but she wasn't part of the system, so they said, no, you know what, you don't get to do this. The archdiocese came down on the church and said, nope, you don't get to do it.
Took the priest to the woodshed.
Unbelievable. And you got to be kidding me? The You Got to Be Kidding Me goes out to Minneapolis Postal Office downtown. Now, this came in from a listener. We like it when listeners tell us the You've Got to Be Kidding Me's and the Cripes and the come-ons that happen in the world. So I heard this one from a listener and then verified it with another listener who even added more to the story. Here's the deal. You go to the Minneapolis Post Office downtown, the big one, the big daddy, where you know, the big center of it all. Now, I happen to think the world of postal delivery people. I think it's incredible that for 42 cents, I can put something in my mailbox in the front of my house, and a day or two later, it'll show up at someone else's house, hand delivered for 42 cents. I mean, I think the post office is fantastic. All right, so I'm not trying to dogpile on the postal service, but the Minneapolis Post Office downtown, you can't buy stamps from a machine anymore. They got rid of the stamp machine. You can only buy stamps at the Minneapolis Post Office when the window's open. When I go to my ATM, it says to me, hey, would you like to buy some stamps?
Yeah.
The ATM sells stamps.
Right.
Every machine around seems to sell stamps. I can buy stamps online, but at the Minneapolis Post Office,
Nope.
where one of the listeners went to mail a letter, knowing that the office was closed, he said, I'll just buy a stamp out of the machine there.
Yeah.
I don't use stamps very often, but I'll just pick one up there. Nope. You can't buy them there. And you know why? Because they got tired of fixing the stamp machines.
Oh, because they're being used so much, they broke down too often. Yeah.
I'm like, why didn't they just put an ATM in there and they could get a little cash and buy stamps at the same time? But if you go to the Minneapolis Post Office downtown and the office is closed, you can't buy stamps.
You got to be kidding me.
And you know what their rationale was? This came from another listener.
What?
The Minneapolis Post Office said, well, so many other places sell them anyway. Why do you need to buy them here? That is the ultimate, and you've got to be kidding me. I mean, it's unbelievable. Even they're like, hey, just go over to your ATM or go to the supermarket, or they'll sell them to you.
Who goes to the post office for stamps?
Yeah, we just think. Oh, Cripes. County attorneys around Minnesota that you've ever prosecuted a child for prostitution.
Good job, guys.
Is just utterly ridiculous. And to the Archdiocese, really, I mean, should we be telling churches that more people should be quiet? Come on. And you got to be kidding me, Minneapolis Post Office. You don't sell stamps unless someone sells them to you by hand. Hey, there's things in this world that just make you cry out, Cripes, and come on, and you got to be kidding me. But we have choices to make in this world. We're not left with a world like that.
Nope, we're not.
We can say something about it, we can call for it, and we can make the world that we want to live in. Hey, after the break, we're going to be back, and we're going to talk to a guy from the future. You're going to want to hear this, I'm telling you. Talking to a man from the future is unlike you've ever imagined. We're going to do it after this. Mark Pearson is going to be with us here on Doug Pagitt Radio. Well, you can follow us on Facebook /Doug Pagitt Radio and AM 950, the voice of Minnesota.